Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Passion Within. We have a wild and very special man with us today, Tommy Trichomes, who is one of the OGs, been around for decades. And he had this little problem where his passion for growing turned into growing vegetables and feeding his family as much as for everything else. And we're so happy to be able to bring Tommy and his passion for growing to our audience today. Tommy, thank you so much for coming. And let's just kind of half-ass jump right in for the people, because we do have certain people in our audience that have never really heard of Tommy Trichomes. And for those people, can you give a little back history on who Tommy is?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. First off, Ken, I appreciate the opportunity. I'm Tommy Trichomes, um, cannabis farmer. Been doing it for longer than I'd like to admit. We'll say like the late '90s is when I grew my first plant or two, and basically ever since then it's just snowballed into what it's become now, and um, very passionate about the plant, the medicine, and just I don't know, keeping it real, not being you know, the
Well, I know we mentioned statute of limitations, before the show. So, there's not too much trouble that we can get into,
right.
because I know I was outside of the legal realm myself back in the 80s when I was consuming. But the passion for the medicine, like, you started when you were young, it's almost a family thing, and you've grown up in the industry and seen so many things change. But when you first started, what was the motivation? Was it to consume for, just the euphoria, or were you dealing even back then with people that needed it more as a medicine?
Well, yeah, back then it was more just having fun, being a young kid. I mean, the first time I
You're
ever,
still young, by the way.
I don't feel it. I just turned 39 the other day, so we're getting up there. But I mean, the first time I consumed, I was honestly way too young. I was 11 years old when the first time I tried it, and it was kind of like a it was kind of like a one-time thing. And I'm not ever
Advocating that.
saying that, yeah, advocating that. I'm just being honest about it. So yeah, I tried it then, and you had this, I had a great time, honestly. And then it was a couple years down the road, and I started dabbling in it a little more. And I was still one of the younger kids. I do remember like things like people were like, "Well, you smoke weed? Like like it was kind of crazy to everybody."
Your
And
brain's
I just
melting.
yeah, I kind well, I did, like you said, I did grow up around it. Not put all in my face because whatever. But both my parents use cannabis. My grandmother, uncles and aunts. Just it was basically like a thing in our family. So it really wasn't as I guess bad outlook. I grew up in a good family, so it wasn't like a bad thing or under a negative light. It was just, obviously
Yeah.
being that young, you still would hide it from your parents and whatnot.
Hmm.
So, yeah,
So
so
go
go ahead.
ahead.
No, yeah, like I said, I started using at an age that would probably be way too young, but I did kind of, I mean, not knowing it back then, but I did kind of get some kind of benefit, whether it had been just being able to be more myself, not as, I don't know if you want to call it shy, but just, I just, it just honestly it just helps me like be myself. I don't really worry about what others think. I never really have. And it seems like before that, even being that young, it was like kind of a thing where just kind of always, just trying to fit in. And then after that, I just kind of, this is me. This is what I do, kind of deal.
Well, I find that for a lot of people, it takes the ego out of you and just allows you to, like you said, to be you. And, in today's society, a lot of us don't have that, where we can just be ourselves. We're pigeonholed in, well, you're this and you're that. And a lot of us have that attitude, like, this is who I am. If you don't like me, well, there's the door. You can use it anytime you want. And having that freedom, I think that you yourself have found that it has allowed you to be a much better person. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. It, like you said, it does take away, I guess, the ego and trying to think of the best way to phrase it. It's just, yeah, just like when I would smoke, I would just, you know what I mean? I would just be goofy and just living my life, enjoying myself, having a good time, and not really worried about what others think, or some opinions and
Mm-hmm.
uh, stereotypes and this and that. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, I kind of just I could tell it wasn't like being a drunk, or addicted to hard drugs and stuff. I never put it in the same category. I When I was in my early teens and whatnot, and was first started using, I was heavily into skateboarding and like hip hop culture and stuff. So it's kind of goes hand in hand with both of those things. So hanging around a lot of older cats and seeing everyone, not really affecting people in a negative way, and it just,
Mm-hmm.
I went from there.
So you got into skateboarding instead of surfing. So that must mean you weren't growing up in California.
No, no, that would have been great. No, I grew up in Northeast Ohio. Um, went to high school. I was not the best student. I just kind of, it wasn't even that I really couldn't keep the grades. I just really was like, I didn't like authority. I still don't. And I kind of just, I don't know. I was kind of like a prankster, a goofball, class clown. Um,
So not much has changed, is what you're saying.
oh no, no, I'm still that same kid, except the skate. I skate around in the driveway every once in a while, but yeah, skateboarding. I kind of pursued that pretty heavily, to the point where I was like sponsored by the local skateboard shop, and
Cool.
we used to, this was long before cameras or cell phones and camera phones and whatnot. So we used to have like the cassette recorder, and we'd make our own skate videos,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Put music to them. My one friend would edit them, and we had like our little skate crew, and so we'd make like our own skate videos. Obviously, a little bit of graffiti, a little bit of this, just
Oh.
anything that was kind of like, I don't know what you want to call it, like
Rebel?
yeah, rebel, boys being boys kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was always kind of leaning towards that side of things. I call it having fun, but I mean, bending the rules, breaking the rules a little bit. Nothing wrong with that to me. So
I have one simple question, Tommy. Can I get a hold of some of them tapes, bro? I would love to see you young like that, doing tricks on a board. I think people would just, I think they would have a whole new perspective of, what happened back in those days. Um, so did you have VHFs, or were you back far enough to still have beta?
well, it was. It was those tape. It was like small handheld camcorder. That was.
Okay.
It wasn't like there goes that furnace. That might happen a couple times throughout the thing. If the noise, is it bad now that it's running? Or is the
No,
noise can okay.
no,
Okay.
noise cancellation's doing great.
All right, cool. So yeah, no, we had the handheld camera. It was
Yeah.
a friend. They were a little bit more well off, you know what I mean? He got his parents allowed him to take a VHS camera, or I don't know if it's
Yeah.
even called VHS. The small tapes that you could put into a VHS tape and then play it.
Yeah.
And then yeah. But there was like no digital aspect to it
No.
as far as editing and all that stuff. So it was kind of
So do you still have some of those tapes kicking around? Because I think that, or do you ever watch them, man? Because I think going back, and looking at that would be you'd probably bust your nut, man.
yeah, well they do exist, and the kid that holds them all, he got wrapped up kind of into the hard drugs, and
Yeah.
you know he was on some rough times. I heard he's doing better, but I really haven't been in contact with him much through my adult life. One of these days, because I want to show my kids really bad, because it seems like sometimes they don't believe me that that because I'm like, hey, I used to be pretty decent, so
I
I would
think,
I would love to break them out, and
yeah,
if I ever do get my hands on some kind of digital copy of it or something, they will probably be put on one of my Instagram pages to show the world. I had
I
the
think
I
that
had
would
the
be
long
amazing.
hair. I had it all. I had it dyed blonde for a while, like the Kurt Cobain era.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, right. So like, yeah, um,
Uh, and having those memories and being able to go back and relive them when those absolutely happy times in your life is
yeah,
something that is special, my friend.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
nothing free. I mean, it was a really freeing thing. My kids, they don't seem as like into. I was always out of the house. I was always out of the house until my mom got mad about it. You know what I mean? When
Yeah.
my kids, it's like, why don't you guys you know, go get in some trouble? Not per se go get in some trouble, but
Go have some fun.
yeah, just they're just like, oh no, just they're a lot. Well, maybe not my son. He's only 5, but so we'll find out here shortly. But my daughter's 13, and she's a straight A student. She wants to go to, she said Ivy League. I'm not sure if she knows all what that entails, but hey, it's on the right start. So having that in your head, you know what I mean? And obviously I've told her, you can do anything you put your mind to. You just got to keep your head down. And
Yeah.
I don't know much about getting into an Ivy League school, but excuse me, but I did tell her what I know, and screwing up, and
Or
that is
not
not is
screwing
not
up.
well. That's what I'm saying. So screwing up is not the way to go
Yeah.
about it. You know what I mean? You have to kind of be planning that ahead of time, as opposed to like what I did, which was just living in the moment. And I still kind of just live in the moment. But
Well,
yeah,
I,
and
I
then
think you must be extremely proud of your daughter, and she obviously doesn't take after you, so I'm assuming she takes after her mother.
yeah, I would agree. I
Well,
would have to agree.
congratulations, because having a child like that that is passionate, to go after her dreams and her passions, that's phenomenal, man. You have to be one hell of a good father, to instill that into your daughter, and that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I always tell my kids, you don't want to go through what I've gone through. So just keep your nose clean, and you know what I mean. Always try your hardest, and don't put yourself in a hole per se, because it
Yeah.
it's not like it's impossible to get out, but it's not as easy as it is if you keep on the right path the whole time as a youngster. So
Yeah.
you know,
So let's get back into the growing side.
yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm ready. I'm ready.
When did you actually first start growing? Like you experienced it very young, but when did you actually start growing?
I was like 16, I think, maybe 15 even. And this was in the, the commercial Mexican brickweed era. Um,
Okay.
by this time, I was well aware that my dad had plants growing. Um, he used to have indoor, and he would do an outdoor thing in the backyard. Not like a major farm setting like you see now. Mainly,
Yeah.
you have, and he also did he did some guerrilla growing. So I kind of knew what was going on. Um, and I figured, hey, well, kind of the aspect of my dad's doing it. Like, how mad would he be? I guess if I were to grow a little plant in my closet. So I'm about 15 years old, and I had one of the just like the little aluminum reflector with like a 100-watt bulb in there. Um, got some soil out of the backyard, put some of the a couple Mexican brick seeds into the soil, and next thing I know, it's growing, this and that, and not too long after that, my dad said, what are you doing? Like, you're gonna get me in trouble. So he taught me at a young age, like, always keep your mouth shut. I know you know what I do, but don't
Don't be talking about it.
talking about at school, and it's not. Uh, he had a great way of explaining it. It's not. I'm not a criminal is basically what he used to tell me. This is
Yeah.
this is illegal, but I'm not a criminal. He wouldn't even call it medicine, but he would say, this is, I know what you've seen, and this is kind of how Santa Claus,
This is how I get up and down the chimney.
right? This is Santa's helper kind of deal. You want a new skateboard for Christmas? Well, this is how we pay for that. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. So he basically told me, hey, what are you doing? You need to take this out of here immediately. And I'm sure, looking back, I mean, he's no longer with us, but I have talked to him before he passed about it. And, he's just like, yeah, it was just fun. He didn't really, he had to be a dad, you know what I mean? And tell me not to do it. But he's kind of probably like father, like son kind of thing. And, he didn't like chop it down or like, he just told me, you need to get rid of this. I was like, okay. So
Get it out of the house.
yeah, and this is why I'm not correct. I probably was 15 because I got my license right at 16, and I remember riding a bike. So I rode a bicycle down to. They have like a national metro parks area from where I'm from, not too far from where I grew up at, and
Cool.
so I pedaled this bike down to it's the Cuyahoga River. It runs between Akron, Ohio, and Cleveland, and then goes into Lake Erie. So I pedaled my bike down with a backpack and had this, this one strong plant and like probably like a little 1 gallon pot or whatever I had in a coffee can or something. I took it down and I planted it near this river, just thinking, oh, I'm gonna come back and it's gonna be, I'm gonna have whatever.
Holy smoke!
Yeah. So all in all, I mean, it didn't work out, and it never panned out to, be anything. It wasn't a successful grow, but it was kind of a learning experience.
Yeah.
How things go, and then further on, all through high school, I would even ask my dad, sell me some herb, and he would always know. He's like, when you're 18, I'll sell you whatever you want, or but he would always knock me off a little nugget, like some super fire, backyard homegrown or stuff he was growing. And compared to what we were getting was like the dirtiest Mexican brick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just chock full of seeds and stems and just, tastes like cardboard almost, smoking big blunts and all that stuff. So yeah, whenever he would break me off a piece, just because me and my friends were kind of just like, come on, man, like sell us some. We got some money, and he's like, I'm not selling you, children. And he shouldn't be asking me, but he's like, here, here's a bud for the weekend or whatever. And then you would just be like king shit, like, look at this, you
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean? Oh yeah, where'd you
I
get
just
that?
want
And
the
never
little
tell,
one, man. That's all you need.
never tell. We always, oh, my neighbor's friend gets this good stuff, stuff like that. So always
Yeah.
practice keeping my mouth shut. Um, that's kind of why I'm probably a little late to the party when it comes to social media, Instagram. Sometimes it's hard to talk about these things just because the way I kind of, you know what I mean, the way I kind of was
Yeah.
brought up, like, always keep your mouth shut. It's a big secret. You could potentially get, your parent, your dad in a lot of trouble and stuff. So I just kind of, it was like a no brainer to me just to learn how to, you know, oh no, this is just for my neighbor's cousin, or whatever story, because it would always
Yeah.
come up. Oh, where'd you get this? How'd you get this?
Yeah,
Oh,
I want some of that too. Where do I
right,
go, man? Who do
right,
who do you know?
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, I mean, my dad knew I was basically interested in it, and all through high school, I wasn't doing that well. Getting into some fights, suspended from school for what we call in Northeast Ohio, we call it flicking, but like, ditching school or skipping school. I've said
Okay.
flicking to some people and they're like, what are you talking about?
Huh?
That's basically,
What?
yeah. All right. So, you know, yeah, getting into trouble here and there, brought home by the police from, underage drinking and stuff at parties, when I'm 16, 15, 17, stuff like that. But I think I got a boot camp where the police are, it's like a diversion program or whatever they call it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, nothing crazy, but just like, I had some run-ins with the police. My grades weren't good. I ended up getting in some fights in high school and put into like basically like a kind of like a school for bad kids where
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. It
Reform
was
school.
Well, no, it wasn't. It wasn't
Not quite
necessarily like a
that
reform
far?
school, right? Right. It was almost to get you right back on the right path, so
Right.
that you didn't fail a grade and you could graduate on time
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
and things like that. So I ended up going there. That's when I was like my junior year in high school, and that was like only half day of school. It was like in this little basement of this church. There was only like 10 kids, and you basically would just sit on a computer and take these tests. You just take it. If you fail it, you just take it again. You know what I mean? You just take it till you pass it, and they basically catch you up on your grades and stuff. But the key
Right.
was you couldn't just like leave and then be on your own for half a day. You would have to have a job as well. So I got a job at a local restaurant where my mom was cooking, and by this time I was uh I was like, doing my little thing, hustling, washing dishes at this restaurant, kind of doing all this and that. And
Well, it would have taught you quite a bit of more about. We can hear you. It would have taught you a lot about responsibility, and I think that's something that we all need, or all children need, is to understand that you are responsible for your actions, and sometimes you got to take the good with the bad.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So, okay, I'm just gonna go through this pretty quick. All right. So basically, yeah, I'm at this restaurant. I'm still doing my thing. I'm, selling little, bags of weed to the waitresses. I'm like I'm this young kid, and I kind of just took to it. I've always been doing this, like I say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm still waiting basically to turn 18 so that I can move out of my parents' house do my own thing. And I knew it before I even started actually growing for,
Mhm.
like seriously, or, at
Yeah.
least trying to learn how to seriously do it. So yeah, I turned 18. My parents had a couple of rental properties that they had, you know, got in a little more trouble.
No.
Yeah. So anyway, okay. So I don't want to make it seem like I'm some bad person. Anyway, so I had the choice. My mom said, if you're going to keep doing, all these things that you want to do, and you want to be all independent, this and that, we'll rent you this house. You know what I mean? You got to keep a job, and
Mhm.
you're going to have to pay your own bills and this and that. And I said, oh, I jumped at the opportunity.
Yeah.
So,
That's a hell
that,
of an opportunity,
right,
really.
right. I had to do 30 days in a like halfway house, like right after I graduated from high school. And then that was a big kind of learning experience, realizing that I didn't want to be going in and out of prison or jail or anything like that.
Mhm.
So I moved out, and yeah, me and my dad kind of just became partners once I had my own house and I was 18. And my first grow was it was in a long kind of rectangular shaped closet, at a 1,000 watt uh, parabolic hood.
Mhm.
Uh, on Have you ever seen the light movers? They have some
Yeah.
newer now. This
Yeah.
was like a chain. This was like a chain driven on a gear,
Yeah.
back and forth real slow. So I'd have it, going like that. And I honestly think that first grow is using, like, yeah, whatever from the hardware store, potting soil, along with, um, I think honestly, like that blue Miracle Grow uh,
Yeah.
stuff. But that was like the first time. And then this was like right when like grow stores were kind of becoming a thing, at least from
Mhm.
where I'm from. And so, I always would read High Times magazine. Um, you couldn't subscribe to it to your house, so you'd have to go to either like the bookstore at the mall, and they would give you this dirty look when you're buying it, and then eventually stores. This was a couple years after that, they started selling them, so it was a little better because you could just buy it at the convenience store when you're,
Yeah.
whatever, buying cigarettes or whatever. So always would read High Times. I would never. It was against our code of rules to go on the internet. The internet's just coming out, and you go on the internet, and they know everything you look at. And don't you dare go look up anything cannabis related on your
Yeah.
home IP address. And I really didn't know much about any of that. I'm just, oh yeah, that all makes sense. Um, Sometimes I would go to the library and use like my girlfriend's library card to, you know what I mean, to look up stuff and things like that. So learning, my first learning was almost all solely from High Times magazine, and
Right.
not even reading all the articles and stuff. I would just visually, I would look. I'd say, oh, oh, they're using 5-gallon paint buckets. That's a good idea. Oh, they mounted their light with this way, and there ways to hang box fans, and there was no real buying equipment. All my equipment was stuff that my uncle and my dad had been using from previous indoor grow. So it was like all stuff from like the early '90s, even like the late '80s and stuff, like some of the dinosaurs of equipment. So I kind of quickly progressed. Went from one light to two to three. I had one of those. It's three lights on an arm with a electric brush, that so it actually can spin a full circle. It all wires into a box, and then that way, obviously, your wires from your ballast to your hood don't get tangled up. So it's like a,
Okay.
yeah. I had one of those. Used to do, once I got into it, we started doing like hydro, and we would have cement mixing tables. They're like 10-gallon or whatever, the black plastic cement mixing tubs.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so instead of like a flood and drain table that you can buy at the store, We had those all plumbed together, rubber grommets, all little pieces you could buy at the hardware store, filled with the geolite rock or the hydrogen rock or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And then we would just take beer cups, the starts would be in there. You take that and just, you just slice the bottom off with a razor blade, stick them down in the geolite and and away they go. And I got really into it. I was anything I could get my hands on, started getting the book, the Ed Rosenthal, Ask Ed, and some of those first Ed Rosenthal books was one of them. I actually still have a couple of them. So
they're probably worth a couple of bucks,
Oh yeah. I've met Ed. I met him at a conference about 10 years ago. He's a cool dude.
You should take the books and have them sign them now.
I didn't even do that. No, but so yeah, it's just kind of snowballed. We'll say I was growing weed, but that was not nearly enough to supply. It was coming out really nice, especially for the times, and everyone was blown away. But I didn't have the balls to like do any huge kind of operation. And I had a lot of people interested in it, and I was also, I had connections to the Beasters, the BC Bud. So I'd have BC Bud. I had the full, the full 2002 dispensary going on. Kind of. I had Mexican Brick. I had Beasters, and I had homegrown. If you wanted to pay, whatever, $500-$600 for an ounce. Yeah. So progressed from there. Got an opportunity to move to Arizona and this is years I've been growing, 6, 7 years, 8 years at the time. I think it was about 2009. Had an opportunity to basically be on the forefront of Arizona. Wasn't even legal. There was just rumblings that it was going to go legal. Right. I had some business partners / friends / acquaintances who basically offered me an opportunity. If you want to come down and try this, we'll fund it. We like what you do. If you want to kind of trying to,
by that time you'd been growing for years. You were far ahead of most people because you knew more what you were actually doing.
Oh yeah. So and that's what I'm saying. So these guys were guys that were also involved, but they were distributors, we'll call them. So yeah, I ended up down in Arizona. All the friends of mine who were down there ended up getting all indicted on charges for interstate trafficking or whatnot. I'm kind of down there. All the money I had saved was all tied up in this large kind of garage grow that we were still in the process of building out when it all happened. That all fell apart, and basically everyone that I knew down there was they all got round up, and so it almost was just like, okay, well, I need to get out of here before I get caught up in it. I had some friends that I went to high school with were living in San Diego. So I basically just packed up from there instead of driving all the way back to the Midwest with my German Shepherd and all my belongings and a bunch of, I had a bunch of grow equipment that was like, brand new, still in the box, hadn't even been set up yet.
Right.
So ventured to San Diego and did some couch surfing for like a month or so. Was trying to find a place to stay where I could have my German Shepherd, there was very limited area where they would rent you an apartment because it's supposedly an aggressive breed. Got a construction job I was working that. Finally got approved on like a townhouse apartment in
Right.
Oceanside, California, which is like
Oh,
super nice, like beach
yeah.
community. A lot of Marines live there. Camp Pendleton is right there, so that's that large marine base. They're very close to there. And I'm like, yo, got my medical card in California. Was in Arizona for like a year and a half. So in like 2010, I'm in California. I get my medical card there. So this is basically the first time that I'm actually, legally allowed to, grow. And it was obviously against the rules of the townhouse that I was living in. Um, and all my neighbors were either like higher ranking Marines or like just their spouses or girlfriends or
Yeah.
whatnot while they were deployed, right? So
Right.
kind of like living on a military base.
Yeah.
There was only like a handful of civilians in the whole area. So I mean, anyway, I said, whatever, I'm doing this anyway. I'm allowed to do it. So
Yep.
I
Yeah.
set
You
up a
got your
tent.
ticket.
I set up a tent. From there, I just basically kept working. Finally found a place where I could, uh, you know, set up more of, it was like a home with a basement.
Yeah.
And this was in southeast San Diego. So I don't know if you're familiar or anybody listening is familiar with San Diego. It's a very nice city, but the southeast side is a little bit different. It gets a little tough and rough over there.
The other side of the tracks.
Right, and they really like they do a really good job of not putting it out there. It's not
Yeah. Yeah.
they don't because it's a big tourist city, so they don't
Yeah.
want people
Yeah.
from. So anyway, a lot of crime that happens down there doesn't really get out to the public. Anyway,
Hmm.
living there, doing my thing. This was in the days in California when you could backpack stuff into the shops, and then it's just grower to dispensary
Yeah.
sales. So I would still just work my 9 to 5, and then in my off time I would do the growing, and then I would also have to go distribute it to the dispensaries.
Right.
I met a guy out there who had a dispensary and he was selling clones. I ended up doing a lot of clones for his dispensary, so I would just cut trays, have them timed it. These ones go there to a spot in 2 weeks, supplying him
Yeah.
with clones. So that was a good little boost in income or whatnot for basically trying to survive, because it's super expensive, especially if you want to have any kind of life in San Diego. So
Yeah.
yeah, I basically didn't get to enjoy the beaches. I mean, I've obviously I went to the beach and stuff, but it was not. I was just constantly just working to
Yeah.
survive and barely scraping by. So um, lived there for two and a half, a little less than 2.5 years, and I just said, man, I'm just gonna go back to Ohio. I'm getting tired. I'll just go back there and do it illegally.
You're burning out.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, watching the news at night, watching everyone have a great time. It's like, man, I'm just all day doing drywall and tile floors in these office buildings and stuff. It's like San Diego's a great place to live, but not if you're just trapped inside. You know what I mean? The most you're outside
Yeah.
is like in a parking garage, taking a smoke break or whatnot. So yeah, I figured, cost of living so much. Um, I'm living in this crazy neighborhood, and it was super rough. It was a we're not going to say what color the gang was, but it was one of those West Coast color gangs, and it was just car had got broken into a couple times. It's like, man, just you know So,
Well, and you want to go home. It's you're from the Midwest, and it's a
right.
totally different lifestyle in the Midwest than it is on the coast. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
yeah,
Which I didn't mind the whole, a lot of that I do get along with the West Coast culture and the skateboarding and the surfing and the art and all that stuff. But
yeah.
and I love the weather. I'm not, I am from the Midwest, but I'm not, I am not a winter person at all.
Yeah, I can relate to that being from Alberta, Canada. It's like, I think well, in your temperature today would be what, about 15 degrees today?
Yeah, it feels like less, but yeah, it's probably about right. 10 to
Yeah,
15.
yeah. So I can relate to wanting to stay in the nice warm weather, but so now you're back in the Midwest, and
Back in the Midwest.
you're doing a legal and you're doing a medical grow, and really focused on helping people. And that's one of the passions that I think a lot of us in this community have, and why we do what we do is because we want to help people. So catch us up with this part of where you are now.
Yeah, so I went from Ohio to Michigan, got an opportunity with some people that I knew in Michigan once the laws all passed here. Um, basically they wanted to be involved, but they had no background in it. So I basically got called in to fix the mess they basically had on their hands trying to become growers, um,
Yeah.
and came up here and just yeah, I mean that was in 2000, like early part of 2013, I believe is when I moved to Michigan. Got my legal permit here. Became a caregiver, which is here in Michigan, you're allowed to have 5 patients underneath you, 12 plants per each of those patients, plus your 12
Okay.
plants. So,
Hmm.
so yeah, just got all that rolling. At this point, still doing, hydro with some biology in it. So, doing cocoa pots with,
Hmm.
uh, bugs in a jug type microbes, and along with salt-based nutrients for um, irrigation.
Yeah. Now, I think we
So
should point out right now is we're both wearing the same hat, because you love fish brew too, and that's better than bugs in a jug.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I would say that's still all in the same realm, but no, I
Yeah,
mean, I do approve of this product, and
yeah.
me and Ken we did not plan this wardrobe.
We were joking before the show that hey, you're wearing a fish brew hat.
Right, right. And I was like, no, I thought it would be fitting because I know you're friends with Leighton, and I've met
Yeah,
Leighton, and I'd consider him a friend. We don't know each other that well, but I've met him one time. He's a really good guy, and I appreciate all the knowledge he puts out there. So,
yeah,
so let me just get through this real quick. So yeah, doing that as you know, to make a living, and you could still do the basically grower to dispensary part. So when they started opening up stores a couple years after you could get it into a store, and basically they were allowing product into shops, or basically you could sell your overages to patients. And all my
right.
patients are people that I know, and a lot of them do have pretty serious ailments. Some of them not so severe, but I suffer from arthritis, and I definitely benefit from using cannabis and CBD, THC and CBD products. So um, I moved to where I'm at here now, down in it's Niles, Michigan, and I had an opportunity to get a medical license, and this is recreational, was just basically put on the ballot, hadn't become rec yet, but started opening up what was going to be a huge facility. It was started off with like 4,000 square foot, and that turned into what was going to be into 40,000, and then that was going to be a total of 80,000 square foot building.
Whew.
Yeah. So I mean, it would have been kind of large if it would have got to that. But we only had, 2,000 of the 5,000 foot space like was actual grow. So set all that up, and then just the whole kind of the money side of the cannabis industry was a big part of having investors involved, and it was all about basically turning a buck. The whole thing kind of fell apart just due to like a bad real estate deal, some dishonest business partners, and stuff happens. It's not like I'm the first guy that's tried to start up a
Yeah.
company that failed. But in hindsight, now I do feel very fortunate because I'm glad I'm not kind of wrapped up in that whole industry when it comes to the whole, we'll say, the regulated,
Side.
just turning a buck. That's not really what I'm about. So now I'm currently a caregiver under the same program, which has been under fire in the past couple years. It's still up and running as of now, so that's a good thing. But yeah, and then as times changed, I just about 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I started just getting into the organics of it. Outdoor grows I've done before, they were organic, but it was basically just
Yeah.
using nature. So I wanted to try it indoors, so I started off with some, just almost like a super soil pot, not
Mm-hmm.
technically not like a living soil. And I've seen people having success and just basically trying to put out the cleanest medicine possible for the people, and also being
Yeah.
able to produce it for the least amount that I could because of the changing times or whatnot. So where I'm at now is I'm all the way converted over to, I do living soil beds. I have either 4x4 or 4x8. 4x4 is probably better off looking at it now just because uh, how heavy all the stuff is. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I have them all on casters so I can move them around, but it's still hard to even push a 4x8 bed when it's wet around
Oh
on the
yeah.
casters that I have and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, now I'm full blown. I do KNF inputs. I do Jadam inputs.
Mm-hmm.
I make my own worm castings, like we were mentioning. It will lead to gardening. I would
Yeah.
kind of do what you call homesteading. So I have a
Yeah.
garden. We have, this will be the first year, but we have chickens.
Cool.
Uh, so yeah, sorry for the long-winded, kind of vague. I tried to explain the best I can, but a lot of
Brother.
people probably don't want to hear about the criminal thing. This is what I'm passionate about now, is producing
Yeah.
clean medicine, keeping it, always keeping it honest with the people. I support my patients.
Yeah.
Um, any overages I have that my patients can't take, then I do some vending at local events, which are all just they're still above ground. I know there's people, and it's mainly people in the corporate industry trying to kind of run people like me out of there. I don't see them
Mm-hmm.
as a threat to me, and a threat to them. So I think we
Yeah.
can all coexist. Um, but you're not going to just,
Mm-hmm.
this has been my life. So basically, you're not just going to run me out of here with the normal, And I've seen
Yeah.
a lot of friends of mine or people that I know with farms that are having to go back taking normal. They were doing it full time, having to take normal. Go back to their 9 to 5 to stay afloat. Times are all changing, and it's not the cash cow that it used to be. But I'm still passionate about it. It's basically the only thing I really consider myself, that knowledgeable in that I enjoy doing. So I want to just keep pursuing this for as long as I'm here on this earth, basically. So
Well, and
they
Tommy,
take me out.
you're talking about your journey and where you started and how you progressed. It can really, if people listen, it can really help them to be in the right mindset, because you have moved, you were doing it over here and you're following this methodology, and you've moved here and there was reasons why, and you were able to articulate why you've done that, because the bud was better and you want to have the best medicine for you and your patients.
Mhm.
And that, my friend, is what this is all about, is that caring and sharing for you and your patients, and supplying that best medicine that they can possibly get their hands on. And for that, brother, like, I total respect, man.
Right. I appreciate that. And I mean, yeah, that's another thing. I mean, when it comes to, some of these, all these corporate or, regulated licensed facilities, they're not all bad. There's some that are doing great things,
Yeah.
but I know for a fact that I can grow super good quality, and it's still clean using salts and stuff. I know how to do it. I've done that for so long that I
Mhm.
had it dialed in. But there is a difference, you know what I mean? And I've crunched the numbers just on what I could gross doing it one way or the other, and um, you know it would be more financially you know beneficial to me if I were to just do salts and pump it all out. But no, I grow multiple flavors. I do tons of pheno hunting. I'm creating my own cultivars, and just enjoying myself as I do it. You know what I mean? It's something I look forward to waking up every day, crack of dawn. Before then, a lot of times I'm a very early riser. Get up, you know, have my coffee, do my do my work while everyone else is still sleeping before the kids are even up to go to school, and get my little personal time in. Listen to some podcasts. I've come to meet a lot of friends uh,
Mhm.
here in the Michigan cannabis industry. My son was born here in Michigan. I consider this my new home state. I have, you know, most of my family still lives back in Ohio, but I can always drive there. Make the 5 hour drive, and um, you know what I mean. Make the
Yeah.
5 hour drive and see him when I need to, and I can live a lot more comfortable life, not having to look over my shoulder all the time,
Yeah.
worrying about this and that. Because back in in the gray market days, I mean, that was half the game. Growing it and selling it was kind of easy. The hard part was avoiding prosecution, and keeping it all underground. So yeah, it's been a great experience living here in Michigan. Like I said, I consider it my home state. I still root for my teams back in Ohio, but
Mhm.
other than that, yeah, for sure. I know now, like I said, I've been breeding for 6 or 7 years, so we'll call it pollen chucking. I really don't have. I mean, I don't know. You can basically call it breeding, but I don't
Yeah.
really have I don't hawk my seeds. I have my seeds that's for sale at a couple stores here locally, the grow shops,
Yeah.
and if people inquire about them and at some of these events, I do, but it's not really. I mainly do it for fun.
Yeah. Well, I think your friends, like Fruit and Gas is saying, Turp Wizard, Jet House, they're in your area, and
Oh yeah,
they're the
both
they're
good friends
people
of
that are
mine.
passionate too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So where
Yeah,
do you see the industry and yourself going in the future, or where would you like to go in the future if you had a
Um,
choice?
I mean, honestly, as long as they let me just continue being, doing this. So this is fine with me. Being able to be around my house, and I don't really have any end goal as far as it come financially or anything like that. Like I said, I had a good year or two where I was trying to make this business happen, and I put everything I had into it,
Yeah.
financially and mentally and physically,
Yeah.
and it was just like it wasn't worth all the stress and the headache,
Hmm.
uh, to try to have some big thing set. I'm fine where I'm at. I do quite a bit under the caregiver statue, so uh, I mean I'm fine where I'm at. Just supply my people. Let us keep the home grow here in Michigan, and some of these swap meet and festival type events. It's great to go hang out with your buddies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shoot the breeze about, what are you doing? What are everyone that stuff like that. Community get-togethers. Um, I
So,
really don't need to go anywhere further than this. I mean, mainly my vegetable garden.
mm-hmm.
Then I'd like to start doing some farmers markets.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna size up my garden a little bit this year with the help of my family.
Yeah.
Yeah, to possibly do some farmers markets locally with excess produce. My neighbor here lives right across the street. He does a farmers market
Mm-hmm.
type event at his property twice a year, once
Cool.
in the spring, once in the fall. And I'd be more than welcome to be there with my produce, eggs, stuff like that. But
Hmm.
I don't know. I love doing things myself as opposed to, if I can make something
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
makes sense, then I'd rather do that than buy it. Or if I can, nothing tastes better than your own grown produce. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I'm getting tired right now of, I'm getting the winter blues kind of. I just, I go across my yard to my other barn here on the property and just sitting here like, man, I can't wait till spring. I got a small greenhouse, living soil bed in there, and do a lot of hot peppers. I like doing so I like basic. I love eating salads. So make I grow 5 or 6 kinds of lettuce.
Yeah.
I do, I'm learning, but I'm starting to get the hang of doing your cold weather stuff. So I get that started early. And then you can put that into the greenhouse where it just basically keep it above freezing. Your kale, your spinach,
Yeah. Your
radishes,
brassicas.
yeah, the brassicas. So
Yeah.
um, doing all that. But yeah, I'm just trying to expand, and I'm going to go for quite a bit bigger area this year, and actually try to produce extra because
Hmm.
for the past 4 years that I've lived at this property, or going on 4 years here in the spring, I've been doing a home garden. I do lots of variety, but I can't, I don't like gardening and then just, wasting it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I will give some, there's always extra, but
Hmm.
uh, I like to, kind of hone in and
Well, you gotten
I
into
know,
canning and preserving it all yet?
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
canned a ton of tomatoes. I made some with some hot peppers for more like of a chili mix, and then
Hmm.
yes, and then also for like spaghetti sauce. I'm big into
Yeah.
Italian food, so
Cool.
making spaghetti sauce, yeah, chili, salsa, canning all those things, and yeah, I mean, I really just try to. Canning takes a while, by the way.
But it's
I did a
sure
ton of,
nice
I
to
did
go
it.
to the pantry and grab
No, it's
that, and
awesome.
oh, it's so tasty.
Right, exactly. So yeah,
Yeah.
taste of the garden. That's what I mean about the winter blues. It's like, buying
Yeah.
produce from wherever it's coming from, Mexico or down south. to kind of your daily fix of vegetables. Man, I cannot wait to, it's like night and day how much better it tastes.
Oh yeah, it's got
Healthy.
flavor.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's basically where I'm venturing. I'm gonna do pumpkins, more squash this year, stuff that takes a little more space.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, if you're doing pumpkins, you're gonna have to see if you can grow them really huge and get into the contest for growing the
oh, I,
largest
I don't know
pumpkin.
about that. I had a friend, a fellow cannabis grower, that was doing that back in Ohio. He was
Yeah.
super into it with I think it was like milk and stuff like that. Not like
Oh yeah.
live, but like, yeah, milk to make it white maybe, or I don't know what it was. But
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
big shade cloth, and you got your, I mean, it would be cool to do, but no, I mean, we'll do some for for pumpkin pie and for, you
Yeah.
know, carving,
Oh, cool.
you know.
So we're pretty much heading the end of our time, and there's one question I always like to ask our guests about what they would say to the kids. So, what would you have to say to the youth of today about their passion or about the passion it takes to find their path in life? Like you told your daughter, but what would you give advice to everybody about how to find what's going to be their goal in life?
Just stay true to yourself. Don't ever let other people's opinions and things get you down. Just, you know what I mean. You only got one life to live. Uh, it's not worth, trying to fit into other people's box. Sometimes your views might not go with the grain. Again, sometimes they may go against the grain, or however they say that. And it's just, uh, obviously, uh, maybe have your own set of morals, good morals, live by those. But
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Yeah. Obviously, don't be a, you know.
We'll stay polite, but yeah,
Right.
I know what
Yeah.
you're saying, and everybody else
Yeah.
should
Yeah.
too.
And just, and I guess another thing, it depends how young we're talking, but education is very important, whether it's your thing or not. And, stay in school. And sometimes it might not be what seems the best thing at the time, but take it from somebody that, that's one of my biggest regrets. Is just kind of not applying myself as hard as I should have when I was younger. I don't feel I need like a college degree to be accepted, or you know looked upon like I'm uneducated or anything. But I just, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It does open doors. So, you know if you're headed down if you're headed down that kind of path as more of a rebel or whatever, just always remember that there's consequences to pay for breaking the rules, and
Yeah.
you know
Well,
be
Tommy,
good,
thank
kid.
you so much for
I
the
appreciate the time,
gift that
Ken.
you are, man, because just going over your life the way that you did in your journey, I know people, I know it's helped me to understand things that I wasn't really clear on about some of the things that have happened, around the cannabis industry, because I'm not the cannabis guy. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm still learning, and I always try to learn something new every day. That's one of the things I think we can all agree on is to try to be that way, and gain more knowledge every day. And you've given us a true gift, my friend, by sharing your life and your experiences. And um, I have to thank you so much for that. And I'm sure your kids are proud of their dad for what you do and the love and passion you have for helping others. Um, Thank you.
Yeah, for sure, man. I appreciate the time, Ken.
Do you have
And like,
any events or anything coming up we can
um,
highlight?
yeah, I do. I'll be vending at an event on Saturday the 4th in Muskegon, Michigan. It's called Hareem. Hash rules everything around me. Uh, that's that's a really cool event. I was eventing at the last one. So if you are listening in the area and got nothing to do on Saturday, stop by, check it out. Corn Fed Dreads is the person you're going to want to contact to get tickets to that. But it's a cool event. If you come say hi, I'll probably have something special to put in your hair, and I'll make sure I take care of you with some a little special bonus or something. So I'll be there with Turp Wizard as well. So shout out to Turp Wizard.
Cool.
That's Tommy. And yeah, I appreciate the time, man. I hope I hope me dragging on about breaking laws back in the past didn't come off the wrong way.
No, not at all. Yeah,
I've listened to some of your previous guests, and they definitely seem very well off and well educated about what they're doing. So I appreciate everyone coming on here. It's not as easy as it looks sometimes. Appreciate you for having me, Ken. If anyone has any questions, I believe Ken has the thing. Tommy Trichomes is the way to find me on IG. So you'll find me on there if you have any questions, seeds. I try to answer as much as I can. I appreciate the time. Everyone stay good out there. Do something nice for somebody.
Well, don't run away. Don't be running away. You're sounding like, oh, I'm just gonna click off and I'm gonna get
no. Okay,
so.
Okay. No, I won't run away. I was getting ready to do that.
That was what I was hearing. Is like, okay, yeah, well, I'm gonna take off, but Tommy, like, I would invite you back, my friend, so that we can share more of your knowledge and understanding. We never really got into the growing of the plant that you have all this experience, decades plus of growing. And I'd like to, the next time that you come on, to get more specific about the actual techniques and things you're seeing with the plant and stuff like that.
No, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, so I wanted to point that out. But as for what we've got coming up on the Passion Within, actually, we're gonna do a real bad one here, and I'm gonna show you who's coming up with Leighton and Dr. Av Singh on tomorrow's show. Now, guys, that said Friday, and this Friday, it's going to be Friday, but we're changing the date because events are going to be coming up and Friday wasn't going to work out. So we're going to be switched to Monday. And this coming Monday, a name that you should all recognize, Frenchie Cannoli, his wife is coming on with Leighton and Dr. Singh to talk about Frenchie's life and the movie that they have created dedicated to hashish. So you're going to want to check that out. And it's only available on this channel. So you're going to want to subscribe and share that with your friends. But we're going to have other very passionate people. I've got a gentleman tomorrow who's coming on. He's a life coach, very passionate man about helping people to grow their businesses and themselves. So you're going to want to check that out. Same time tomorrow as we were with Tommy today. But we have a lot of things coming up that is going to help people to understand different things about life. Like we've had the hypnotherapist on. We had a financial guy on. We're going to have real estate people on. I want to bring as much knowledge as I possibly can of people that are passionate, not only about what they do, but about helping people. And that's why we had Tommy today, and we're going to have Tommy back because a lot of the people are coming from FCP, and I love FCP, and I love Peter and what he has created. But this kind of content that I'm bringing isn't really FCP related. So that's one of the reasons we created this new channel. But Tommy, I'm gonna have you back again. So, you
I would
know,
love to.
look forward to that coming out, guys. I'm gonna be doing my best to have the reels coming out and shorts coming out, maybe even a week in advance, for when people are coming on. So we can all kind of see who's coming on and pick who you want to watch. Um, but don't hesitate to share if you find value. Share with your social community. It's the only way that this is going to grow. We're all after the same thing, and everybody that knows me and my saying it's all about the biology knows why I say that, and what I'm trying to do in bringing knowledge to the people. We are facing a difficult time ahead, and that's why we have to add the biology back into the system. This is my way to start creating that movement. So please don't hesitate to share the knowledge. Share Tommy's show out with everybody, because how many people out there never knew why Tommy Trichomes has done and has come to this point in his life? Now you do. You can share his path, his passion. And if there's anybody out there that wants to come on the Passion Within, if you're passionate about what you do and why you're doing it, don't hesitate to reach out. It's Ken Somerville on IG. I'm not hard to find, guys. But with that, Tommy, let's all say goodbye to everybody. We love you all, and we'll see you guys on the next show. So have a
Thanks,
great
everybody.
day.